Hi guys, this is your host Immanuel. Welcome back to another Dev Diary. Dev Diary number 54, Ethics Rework. Now that we've got the Kennedy patch and the free DLC, we have a lot of changes coming in 1.5, the Banks patch. And I've researched a bit about Banks, read a novel of him. It's mostly about culture. I mean, it's called the culture novels, and this is the first thing like they're going to change for more individual stories to be created by your people. Like the factions were just an annoying thing you had to avoid. Now the factions represent something, and it all starts with a change in like naming ethics. They're describing authoritarian versus egalitarian. Okay, what they're doing there is they're renaming authoritarian, like it was formerly collectivist, now it's called authoritarian. Egalitarian is now like individualist. So that sounds a little bit strange, but if you can imagine like how it's interpreted here, it's the word change is like to represent also a change in the mechanics a little bit, and it makes it fit better. I mean, it does not make it fit perfectly for reasons. I mean, egalitarian replaces individualist. Yeah, you can say like you want, like communism is also egalitarian from a materialist point of view, and then in egalitarian replacing individualist would not fit. But so authoritarian means a belief in hierarchical rule and orderly stratified societies. Authoritarian pops tolerate slavery and prefer to live in autocracies, and this was at least true for the traditional communism a bit. So it could replace that. And egalitarian replaces individualist and represents belief in individual rights and a level playing field. Egalitarian pops dislike slavery and elitism and prefer to live in democracy. So this is a little bit clearer, the distinguishing, like because there's also like individualist collectives, so to say, but there's probably no autocratic democracies. So what does this mean? Yeah, you have these different ethics you can see here. Also have a new symbol, like I think it's a hand or something, like a hand holding the world. So talk to the hand. I don't know. They have made a pop ethics rework, like they're telling us about it right now, and it means your ethics of your empire is no longer fixed as it was, but it's dynamic, so it will change according to what your empire does, and most of your pops will tend to your empire's main ethics. So how does this work? I mean, it's just a rough sketch, but it's extremely interesting, and I love these down-up mechanics. Like most mechanics in the traditional strategy games of like Civilization or something like that are top-down. This is down-up. And I really embrace down-up mechanics because it makes a game more natural, realistic, I don't know. If you go from the tiniest unit and from that something is composed, it makes a more organic being than like this top-down. Like something is changed, people adapt. Something is changed, people adapt. That isn't the world. The world is a dynamic thing, and this should represent that. So each pop in your empire will now only embrace a single non-fanatic ethic. Well, we could be doubtful about that. I mean, maybe they will change that so they can also be fanatics. I think that would be fair, but for a start, this is good, at least to test the changes. You don't get too extreme. At the start of the game, your population will be made up of only the ethics that you picked in your species setup, but as your empire grows, its population will become more diverse in their views and wants. And yeah, you have different factions then, like more like different parties. If you also live in a classic democratic system, then you would have like maybe a xenophile party. In Germany, a xenophile party would be represented by the so-called left or the Greens maybe a bit. And then you have other ethics like the materialist ethic, which would be represented by the liberals. You have some xenophobe ethics, which would be represented, I don't know, in Germany, maybe by the Alternative for Germany. That is not really for Germany, that's for only for themselves. At least that's my opinion. They're making shady deals. They're making shady deals with gold and all that stuff, and they're really, I don't know. I mean, all the democratic factions make shady deals, but these, it's just so overt. Not to be taken wrong, I love democracy. It's the best of versed alternatives. So, yeah. I mean, you have these different factions that would mean like basically the parties in a democracy, or the factions in like a communist empire or in a monarchy. So what happens is these will come alive. Like they will have their needs, they will have their wants, they will support you, they will try to get things from you, and they will give you help. Similarly, like it is simulated in EU4, but it's not that personally simulated in EU4. So they're going a step further, and some people in the comments wrote, "This is the next step to grand strategy," and it's really like for me it's that, and it's becoming more like organic than the top down. Top down was really good, also with Master of Orion 2, but this is down up, which is better, and which should also be used now that we have more computing power. You can use that down up simulation. So each ethic now has an attraction value for each pop in your empire, depending on both the empire situation and their own situation. For example, enslaved pops tend to become more egalitarian because they want to be free and have equal rights, while pops living around non-enslaved aliens become more xenophilic because they get used to them, right? Like it was the same like in Germany with a German Democratic Republic, the GDR or DDR, like people there, and that is why there's such a big problem with the right-wing parties there at the moment. People there were just not used to people from other countries, and so while they have some of the lowest quotas of so-called foreign people, the right-wing parties are much stronger than in the West, where we have, like I'm living in the West of Germany, we have a total mix. We have like, you would say like some people look definitely like, they look like you're in Istanbul, or like in I don't know, in Italy, like more the darker type, not the imagined German type of people, and they speak to you, and they speak totally like deep southern dialect German. And you're like, huh? But if you're living there, it's totally, you're used to that, and so you're becoming xenophile. And if you're not used to that, of course, you're not becoming xenophile. And also the so-called xenos, or foreign people out over there, they are not that integrated, of course, and which makes the whole situation uncomfortable for both parties involved, and that creates then in that case xenophobia. Like if you would have aliens there that are xenophobic, I'd imagine their neighbors becoming also xenophobic, because that would be like the natural reaction of someone. If someone from a foreign country is your neighbor, and he's from a foreign country, so he's like the newcomer, And he's there and says, "Oh, I hate you because you're a member of this state. I just moved in. You're going to be like, huh, what? What are you talking to? I hate you too." So I like these mechanics. Like on an individual level, they make a lot of sense, and we'll see how the dynamics of that will influence the game. Over time, the ethics of your pops will drift in such a way that it roughly matches the overall attraction of that value. For example, if your materialist attraction sits at 10% for decades, it's likely that after that time, around 10% of your pops will be materialist. And it would also be cool if the materialist would be like linked, maybe to better your research leaders, like, because a materialist is going to become a good research leader mostly. Like you could link that, and also like someone who believes in military is more likely to be good at weapons or something. Like so they might make up your army commanders. So you might have a broader range of army commanders to choose from if that is like 40% or something, like not like equally distributed here, like this 40%, and maybe the equilatarians like 30%, then you'd have good governors and you'd have good army or fleet leaders. And that's some random factor, so it's likely never going to match up perfectly, but the system is built to try and go towards the mean. So the more overrepresented an ethic is compared to its attraction, the more likely pops are to drift away from it, and vice versa. So if you have a very big faction, people are likely not going to join it, because they are not they want to be individual on an individual level, so to say. Like, you don't want to always do what your neighbor does. You're thinking for yourself. So that's that. I'm a little bit doubtful about an overrepresented ethic losing attraction, because it might also be vice versa, right? It might be a popular movement and more people streaming to it because they want to fit in. So we'll see how that works out. So what does the single ethic per pop mean in terms of how it affects pop happiness? Brings us to the new faction system. So there's the faction rework. You have here a screenshot of the big faction rework. You can see you can already see what their intentions are. The mercantile lobby, yeah, of course. Citizens for Freedom group would probably be against slavery. Alien equality movement would be integrating Xeno. Population Institute of Advanced Sciences, they want more materialism probably, and all kinds of that. So what do we have here? Factions are no longer purely rebel groupings, but instead represent political parties, as I said, popular movements and other such interest groups, like the creation of the Greens in Germany and in the 1990s and before. Like, that was like a very big thing that happened here. Like, out of nowhere, the Greens came and they stayed with us for good reason, because, yeah, you need to protect the environment you live in if you have such a densely populated area as Germany. Otherwise, you're going to just die. So, Green Party, totally a reaction to the environment. A useful and a needed reaction, and even the ruling Chancellor Merkel has adopted their policies a lot, because the population just wants it. So, factions have issues related to the values and goals, and how well the Empire responds to those issues will determine the overall happiness level of the faction. For example, when the supremacists want the ruler to be of their species and are displeased with the presence of free alien populations in the Empire, they'll also get a temporary happiness boost whenever you defeat alien empires in war. Makes sense, right? If you do what they want, these people get more happy. The happiness level of a faction determines the base happiness of all pops belonging to it. It means that where any pop not belonging to a faction has a base happiness of 50%, pop belonging to a faction that have their happiness reduced to 35% because of their issues will have a base happiness of only 35% before any other modifiers are applied. Like buildings, like the xenophobe or xenophile neighbors, the xeno neighbors, the planet modifiers, that kind of stuff. Meaning that a displeasing and large and influential faction can result in vastly reduced productivity across your empire. As part of this, the happiness effects from policies, xenophobia, slavery have been merged into the faction system, so engaging in alien slavery will displease certain factions instead of having each pop individually react to it. That makes also a lot of sense. So it changes like the base happiness and individual factors, like the environment changes the individual happiness, like on the planets. Factions have an influence level determined by the number of pops that belong to it. In addition to making its pops happier, a happy faction will provide an influence boost to their empire. That's also quite handy. So, but of course, it's probably like it always is. Cannot please them all. So this is going to be fun with the new factions. Faction founded. And there are going to be new factions founded if you like ignore some things or if there's other issues arising. And they are going to come back to factions in greater detail, even greater detail, in a later dev diary, going over topics such as separatists, rebellious slaves, and how factions can be used to change your empire ethics. The next dev diary will be about traditions and unity, so it's going to be about culture. Another big thing about Banks, if you have read with the Banks, he's known for his so-called culture novels. It's a really cruel, it's a cold-hearted, it's a very it's a thriller-like series of books that I've just started reading. So I don't know much about it, but I've grasped the lot. I've actually started it because the 1.5 update was called Banks, and I thought, yeah, let's research who's that guy, who's Banks. And then, as I read a lot, and I love to read, I was just getting some books. And like at least the first book, the first culture book, is pretty good. So thank you for watching or listening. My voice is not yet recovered, but it was enough for the dev diary. It was also like a test for my voice. I'm a little sick right now. I have a tonsillitis, and we'll see each other again on the channel. Currently, I'm cleaning up all my archives, giving you something to watch, like also from the older games like Abaddon 3 and all that kind of stuff. So you will have something to watch, and soon, maybe next week, I'm going to come back with a daily Let's Play of Stellaris, like the 15 to 30 minutes episodes that are going to be coming again for Snail Wars, our xenophobic little nautiloids going to war with the whole universe. We'll see. This was all of it. If you like these news videos, I'm regularly going for the Stellaris news because I'm reading them myself, want to understand them. So I thought I'd share it. And if you'd like to be informed about that, then just subscribe. I've also linked the playlist, and there's also some guides for Stellaris on the channel, and two Let's Plays. One's still ongoing and one is completed. Very long about Cthulhu. So happy gaming to you. See you in the next episode of whatever. Have a nice time. This is Immanuel signing out.